Saturn and Aries, let's talk about it. On May 24th of 2025, Saturn moved into Aries, the warrior spirit energy, and we are all feeling it. So let's talk about what it means for you and go through each rising sign and talk about the influence you're going to be feeling with this transit. If you are new here, my name is Brandy from Brandy Astrology. I do readings, I'm an astrologer, and I also do psychic development. So if you are wanting to awaken your intuition, come find me. I have lots of programs to help you. Now back to Saturn and Aries. So Saturn is the planet of foundation, stability. It's the planet of patience and hard work. I like to think of Saturn as a planet that tries to fix things in our life. That's not always fun because sometimes we don't realize things need to be fixed. We don't realize something's not working for us. And Saturn is the influence that changes that for us. So Saturn gets a bad rap. It's the planet of challenges and obstacles, limitations, restriction, but it's always doing something for the greater good. And so when Saturn is transiting your chart and maybe it feels like it's creating conflict, just know it's for your highest good. And on the other end of it, it's going to be a good outcome for you. That's Saturn. Now let's talk about the zodiac sign Aries. Aries is the first sign in the zodiac. It's a fire sign. It's ruled by Mars. It's a sign that's energetic, independent, and kind of aggressive. I like to think of it as the warrior spirit. And so with Saturn visiting the sign of Aries, all of a sudden we have the momentum and motivation to work on our goals and accomplish things in our life that we really need. But it comes with kind of a different energy. It's telling us that we have to do this ourselves, that no one's going to do it for us. So, in the past couple of weeks, I'm recording this on June 5th. If you have felt like all of a sudden you are motivated to work on something and you want to kind of do it yourself without help, it's because of this transit. Let's go through an astrology chart. I'm going to take you through what Saturn and Aries is doing in each house of the astrology chart so that you know how this is influencing you. All you need to know is your rising sign, and I will tell you how Saturn and Aries is energizing your life right now. If you don't know your rising sign, come find me. I use astrology in all my readings, even the card readings, because astrology is such an important tool. It tells us a lot about what's going on in your life, about who you are. And so if you don't know your rising sign, I can help you with that. Check the description below. I have my website there where you can book a reading. If you are an Aries rising, Saturn is in your first house and affecting the area of you, the body, your identity. And so what's happening is the last couple of years, you've been working quietly and behind the scenes. Now it's time to take that work into the public where everyone can see it because this is part of who you are now. It's the part of you that you should let shine and be visible. It's also the time to take it into action. So whatever you've been working on quietly, it's time to bring it to the forefront, let it be a part of who you are, and put it out there. Now, the first house is our body, a planet like Saturn that is a little bit more slow moving, like stability. Being in a sign like Aries that wants to move and be energetic, there's a little bit of a push-pull going here. So you might notice your physical energy being really good at times and other times feeling a little overwhelmed or a little wore out. Listen to your body on this transit, take breaks when you need it, and just also go for it when you feel energized and let that guide you. Taurus rising. If you are a Taurus rising, Saturn in Aries is over the 12th house right now. So, what does that mean? That means you are all of a sudden wanting to isolate. It's not so much that you're antisocial, but you're wanting to just be in your quiet space, work quietly, work behind the scenes, and just quietly work on the things you're wanting to accomplish. This isn't a time when you're going to be sharing a lot of this with people. This is going to be a very inward time. And this is also a time when your intuition is craving to be developed. Remember, Aries likes action. Aries wants to move, it wants to do something. Saturn is creating a stable plan for your life. The 12th house, it's the unseen. It's a place where we can find psychic ability. We can also find it in the eighth house and other places, but it's the part of us that's connected to the higher self. It's the subconscious. So this is a great time to develop psychic abilities. Come find me if you want to do that. I can help you. Now let's talk about the other side of this. The 12th house also deals with loss. And so a Saturn transit over the 12th house, it's not uncommon for endings to happen. It can be loss as far as letting old things die out that are no longer viable for us, maybe old dreams, old plans. Sometimes we experience loss with the death of a loved one, but I don't want you to get too stuck on that because I've seen plenty of people go through this transit without that happening. But there is an idea of things coming to an end and just allowing it to happen and trusting it's part of life's process. But the most exciting part of this transit is your intuition being on fire. So play with that, get you some tarot cards, and practice those psychic abilities. All right, Gemini risings. You have Saturn and Aries over the 11th house. The 11th house is hopes, aspirations, it's friendships. And so during this transit, it is not uncommon for some friendships to come to an end. When this happens, trust it. It means that these people are no longer in alignment with you and it's time to move on. I know that sounds a little flippant, but you just have to trust during this transit if all of a sudden a friendship comes to an end, you get more distance. There is something about Saturn trying to clean out this area of life. Now, when Saturn's over the 11th house, this is a time to think of long-term plans and goals because the 11th house is hopes and aspirations. What are you wanting 5, 10 years from now? Or what are you wanting to do by the time you retire? There is something about really thinking ahead long term and thinking about what you want. Saturn's going to start manifesting that long-term energy and plan to create this for you. And a little side note, Neptune's right there too. Neptune's a very dreamy planet. This can really help you brainstorm and daydream about what it is you want to accomplish in life. But Saturn's going to create that stability to make those plans happen. Cancer risings. Saturn is in your 10th house of career, reputation, and just dealing with the outside world in general. I have seen Saturn in this house work out multiple ways for people. One, it can create some delay. Just anywhere Saturn is at can have delay in general, but especially over the 10th house. If you are trying to get a promotion, change your job, it's not impossible. But Saturn's going to make sure that doesn't happen unless it's the right fit for you. Now, Saturn's also in Aries, it's energized. And so all of a sudden, you might be craving a change in your job or craving a different career or just, who you are in general. And you should always follow that passion that is driving you to make changes, but just know it's only going to work if it's the right fit for you. So, like I say all the time, trust what happens under this transit. Now, Saturn's also the planet of stability. And so this could stir up you wanting to have a more stable career. So if you're in a job that's not your real job, and what I mean by that is you're just there temporarily till you find something better, or it's just kind of a fun job, this transit can actually help you get into the job that is meant for you and meant to be your forever job, or at least like what you do for a living. Leo risings. Saturn is in your ninth house. Ninth house is like philosophy, spirituality, religion. It's also higher education, and it can also deal with legal battles. So when Saturn's over this house, we see this play out in different ways. All of a sudden, if you have been someone who maybe didn't have a specific belief, either spiritually or like a philosophical belief in life, all of a sudden you get real serious about this. You want to know, what do I believe? Or there's maybe more of an observation going on. You're observing and really taking in, thinking about how life works, what the purpose of life is. I've seen a lot of people develop psychic abilities during this time as well because it's a spiritual house and it's about wanting to get real serious with the spiritual side of life. And I've also seen people go back to school during this transit because it's the house of higher education and Saturn stability. If getting a degree or a certification or just learning something more advanced is going to give you more stability in your life, Saturn's going to start energizing that for you. Side note, if you are in any legal battles, important battles, Saturn could cause some delay here. It doesn't necessarily mean you would lose a legal battle, but it's saying there's some delay. It could draw it out. And then sometimes Saturn is a loss in those areas too. So if you have a situation like that going on, I really suggest getting a reading about it because just depending on what Saturn is connecting with in your chart, this could work out in different ways. So don't always assume it's loss. Get a very specific astrology reading. I can help you with that and get more information about this. My Virgo risings, you have Saturn and Aries in the eighth house. The eighth house is a lot of things. It's sexuality. It's the house of other people's money, so debts, it's taxes, like owing the IRS. It's also the house of hidden stuff, like secrets. Not things that are hidden from you, but things that you want to keep hidden. And it's the house that deals with paranormal things, like mediumship, connecting with spirits, ghost hunting. Now, just like the ninth house, I also see when Saturn goes over the eighth house, all of a sudden, the individual takes an interest and, like, hey, can I do mediumship? Or I'm really into the paranormal stuff or the occult, and I kind of want to learn more about this and take more time to focus on these things. It's also a time when it comes to money, debts, taxes, that there's a seriousness coming into play. And it's a realization like I need to take some responsibility here, have a plan to resolve this. Or if you're in business for yourself, this transit makes you want to have a real serious plan of how to make sales for your business or how to bring in money because this is the house of other people's money. Now, eighth house, it's also the house of rebirth and death. Just like the 12th house, and I don't want you to get too focused on this because it depends what's going on in your chart, but when Saturn is over the eighth house, sometimes we do experience loss, like a passing of someone special to us, or just something ending in general. It could be an idea, it could be a phase in life. There's something about endings and rebirth with this transit. Libra risings. You got Saturn in the seventh house of relationships, marriages, helpful people. It's also opposing your ascendant. So this is not only affecting marriage relationships, but yourself and your identity and how you appear to other people in general. Saturn wants you to be serious. It wants to make you come across as a very serious person. It wants to bring responsibility into your life. Now, when it comes to relationships, Saturn can play out in a couple of different ways. First of all, I have seen clients have Saturn transit their seventh house and they have very healthy relationships. So please don't automatically think, oh goodness, things are coming to an end. That's not what this transit is. So Saturn identifies the weak links in a relationship, so to speak. So if there is something in your relationship that needs worked on, if there's been a problem, or maybe things have been going well, but there are certain things that just need to be readjusted as you guys grow together, Saturn's going to point those things out. Now, on the other side of this, if you've been in a relationship and it's just been a struggle and it's not getting better, it's just not going well, you could see an ending to a relationship during a Saturn transit because, again, it brings out the weakness and it brings you to a point where you either have to work on this or move forward. And so, if a relationship is struggling, Saturn can be the okay, we're going to make it or we're not factor. Now, if you're single, this can actually be a really good transit. And if you follow a lot of pop astrology out there, you're not going to hear this. So, it's really important to listen to an astrologer about this because Saturn, yes, it's the planet that represents challenges and obstacles. And you can think, oh, if you're single and this planet is going across the house of relationships, that you're just going to face 2 more years of stagnation. Not true. Saturn is also the planet of stability and long-term energy. So a lot of times, if you're single and you happen to meet someone while Saturn is transiting the seventh house, these people usually stick. They usually stick around, and it's usually a really good relationship that lasts for a long time. So that's good news. So if you're single, next 3 years, get out there because this is a time when you can meet your person. If you're Scorpio rising, Saturn is in the sixth house. So, sixth house, it's a lot of things. It's day to day routines, day to day work, it's our health, it's our hygiene. It also deals with animals as well, like our pets. It's also the house where we can feel trapped because it's a house of service. And while service is good, sometimes we can be in servitude and not like it and feel like, oh, like it's more of an obligation. So, Saturn in this house, it does not always mean that there's going to be a health issue because a lot of times you can read about Saturn in the sixth and it'll say, oh, health struggles or health problems during this time. Not all the time. Personally, when I had Saturn going over my sixth house, I changed my diet. That was a big thing that happened for me in that transit because Saturn, again, stability, longevity. limitations. It's wanting to do something to make you healthier in this house. And so for me, I went into vegetarianism a long time ago when Saturn went into my sixth house and it stuck. I've been a vegetarian almost 20 years. But I just want to give you an idea of how that could play out as far as day-to-day routines. Saturn wants you to have a routine. And so if you are someone who doesn't really like routines or you don't like having things scheduled, you don't like deadlines, Saturn might change your mind on this one, but not easily. It's going to create situations where you have to adhere to a schedule so that life is easier. So give it a try. You'll find that it's working good for you if you give it a shot. Sagittarius risings, you have Saturn in Aries over the fifth house right now. Saturn is children. It's the area of creativity. It's self-expression. It's where we take risks. So, one, since let's start with risk taking. Saturn's more of a cautious energy. Now it's in a sign that is makes it a little bit looser. It loosens it up a little bit, but you might be a little risk adverse right now. And so if you are doing anything that feels risky or feels like, okay, I'm going to take a chance on this, it could go one way or the other, it might create a little bit more anxiety with you because you just don't want to take risks right now, but it can have big rewards. Children, sometimes we can find some delays, some struggles around the area of children. Maybe it's just like you getting along with your kids is a little bit more of a struggle, or it could just indicate having to have some boundaries when it comes to kids. I have several clients under this transit who are in court with custody issues with kids too right now because this is wanting to create a boundary with your children. Now, it's also the area of self-expression. Saturn is kind of quieting you down a little bit. So if you're normally very expressive or you like to express yourself creatively and you're putting it out there, this might have you more drawn in where maybe you're doing self-expression more in quieter ways, or you're doing it in more limited ways. You're not putting it out there for everyone to see, but you're just doing it in ways that feel right for you. Now let's talk about creativity. A Saturn transit to the fifth house can make you feel like you're not real creative right now, or like you can't access that energy. It is there for you. It's just wanting you to do it in different ways. Instead of like quick, inspired ways of being creative, it's wanting you to really think things out and dig deep in your creativity right now. So it's not something quick, it's not something naturally that you just express all of a sudden. Your creativity is taking a little bit of research, maybe some quiet time, and just diving deep into how to be creative right now. Saturn in the fifth house for creativity could also be telling you to keep doing what you've been doing. It's been working for you. All right, my Capricorn risings. This is a pretty significant transit for you because Saturn in Aries is over the fourth house. Fourth house is family. It's our home. It's also endings sometimes. And it can also represent one of our parents. A lot of times it's mom. I've also seen where fourth house can represent dad instead of mom. So it's one of the parents at least. So when Saturn's going over this house, there could be some endings in life, like things that haven't been working, old plans, just things that you've been trying to get off the ground and they're not. You could see these things come to an end. There could also be things with the home itself. And so if you are between homes or you have a home you're living in, but it doesn't feel like you're forever home or at least where you should be for a long period of time, Saturn wants stability in the home. And so you could find yourself changing homes. Now, on the other side of that, if you've been in a home for a while, it is your forever home. There is something about Saturn anchoring you there even more. And so sometimes if you're trying to move, but you're really not supposed to, you could see Saturn delay this. And Saturn delays can be so frustrating, but believe me, if you're trying to do something and you're having a significant Saturn transit and there's delay, always trust it because Saturn knows what's best for you. I've also seen individuals during this transit have to care for a parent, like a mom or dad. There could be some kind of life event happen where they're needing to take care of a parent more or, be involved with their care somehow. Not all the time, just depends on where you're at in life and how Saturn is aspecting other planets, but that is something that you could see during this transit. And fourth house deals with family. Saturn transit deals with boundaries sometimes. So you might find yourself having to have strong boundaries with family. And when you're needing strong boundaries with family, opportunities come up for you to enforce these boundaries. And sometimes that can look like obstacles or tension or fighting. Just know when Saturn's over your fourth house and family is pulling BS, Saturn's telling you put a boundary here. That doesn't always mean cutting people off, but it might mean putting some distance here or at least having some rules about how people treat you. Aquarius rising, you have Saturn in Aries over the third house. The third house is communication. It's learning as well. It's not the higher education that we see with the ninth house, but it's learning something or learning something new. It's also the house of siblings. And so, with a Saturn transit on the third house, you're going to notice your communication gets more serious. And with serious communication, it's usually because you're having to negotiate, or maybe there's new contracts, new things coming up in life. But it's about you being very serious and detailed and making sure your communication is effective and getting results. Now, on a fun note with communication, I've seen individuals start podcasts or just maybe up their communication in a different way during this transit. There is something about creating stability through talking or communicating. This is also a time of learning. And so anything you're learning during a Saturn transit to the third house, this is information that's going to stick. This is information that you're going to use for a while. So if you are all of a sudden getting a yearning to either get a certification or take a class, or I just want to learn this just because, go where you're drawn to go because that information is going to be very helpful to you and it's going to be something that applies for a long period of time. On another note with the third house, it represents siblings. Not uncommon during a Saturn transit to have some conflict with your siblings, or again, the word boundaries, have some boundaries with the siblings in your life if they're creating problems. My Pisces risings. All right, you have Saturn in the second house. Our second house is our money, resources, it's possessions. It's also our self value and self esteem. Saturn here can go a couple different ways. So, if for the past couple years, maybe you've been trying to get more responsible with money or work on money goals or change your money story, Saturn is like, okay, you've done the work. Now you get to have the reward. On the other side of that, if that's something you haven't been focusing on, Saturn in this house might start putting focus there. And so if you find, oh, I really need to be better with money, or I need to make more money, or I need to clean up my money mess, Saturn's going to force you to do the hard work to do that. But it gets results. So don't be discouraged by this transit. If that's your situation, this can be very helpful for you. Now, I'm going to put a little personal astrologer opinion here. Saturn and Aries in the second house, it's not a time when you want to spend a lot of money on a possession. And let me kind of tell you why. So Saturn and Aries in general, it's in a fall. It's not Saturn's favorite sign. So a lot of times when you make a big purchase during this time, you end up usually not liking it or it doesn't work out. That's just Brandy's astrology opinion here. So I would say this, if you're going to make a big purchase within the next 2 or 3 years, be choosy with it. Really think about it because you might regret it. Now, self-esteem, self-value, if this is something you struggle with, and a lot of people do, Saturn can be helpful during this transit. It's going to really make you get down to the bottom of things. Why aren't you feeling good about yourself? Okay, now it's time to change that. And Saturn's going to want to fix that for you. So it's a time to really maybe work on that. You know, cut out the things in your life that make you feel bad about yourself. If it's social media, take a break. I'm just giving examples. But Saturn's going to want to fix the self-value problems. It wants you feeling good about yourself. It makes you want to be solid. I hope this video has been helpful just to give you a quick idea of how Saturn and Aries could influence your chart and you. Always look at your personal astrology because everyone's astrology is different. Saturn right now could be aspecting a really good planet and changing up what we talked about just a little bit, or just be playing out differently. And so get a specific reading so that you know exactly what it's doing, but this will give you a general idea of the influence you can expect. Saturn will be in Aries until 2028. So use the energy, use that motivation we're getting, and be that warrior spirit and change the things in your life that you want to change. If you found this video helpful, you could help me out by hitting like or dropping an emoji. Fun fact, I am a Reiki master and teacher, and every week I send Reiki. And so if you will drop a comment or an emoji in the comments, I will put your name on my Reiki list. And when I'm sending Reiki, it'll be sent your way. See you guys next time.